Welcome. Today we're going to work on low back relief. So I'd like you to have a blanket splayed across your mat. I'd like you to have a blanket at the top of the mat. And then we're going to use a chair for elevating the legs and or inverting at the hips. So have that nearby. And then we're going to do a little bit of flip-flopping. Um, so just be aware of that. And then just want to make sure bottom of my mat is in the shot. Okay. All right, so we're going to lay um, knees bent, feet wide. Turn the feet slightly inward so that your knees come together or at least toward each other. Hands on the belly. And let's just take a few deep breaths. And let's keep the legs where they are for just a moment. Bring your arms overhead, or no, excuse me, not overhead, but up toward the ceiling in front of you in a prayer. And then make that prayer all the way to the forearms. We do this, I feel like, frequently enough that you know where we're going. So you want to keep your forearms pressed together as best you can. And then very slowly, now you're lifting the hands and the forearms overhead toward the floor. Keep the forearms pressing together. And then bring them back in front of your face. And then again, lift them up overhead. Now, at any point, when your forearms start to peel apart, stop. That's your end point. We want to focus on the stretch when the forearms are together. If they come apart and you keep moving your arms and hands overhead, we miss that stretching opportunity. Okay. On the next one, I want you to stop at whatever your end point is and then move your arms to the right. So this is a variation of eagle pose. So you're getting a stretch along the left upper back area. And then move the arms back center and then go over to the left. And come back to center. Let's open the arms into cactus. We're going to do that whole sequence again, but let's just take a few breaths. As much as we're going to focus on the back, since today is all about back relief, we have to open up the front of the chest as well. Because the front of the chest, when that's tight, it contributes, it pulls your shoulders forward, which then create tension in the upper back. So we can't forget the front of the body. So let's take 2 more breaths here in this nice relaxed cactus pose. Okay, and then bring your arms once again into that forearm prayer. And then 3 times, you're going to reach your arms overhead. Okay, so then bring the arms back to the kind of center, right in front of the face, and then move them to the right. And then bring them back to center and move them to the left. Whatever position gets you a stretch. At this point, the elbows don't have to be, completely connected. Okay, bring back to center, and then one more time, open up into cactus. Okay. And then let's bring the arms just kind of back to center. Just roll out the wrists, the elbows, and the shoulders. All right. So we're going to kind of flip flop while we're on our back, messing with the low back, messing with the upper back. Okay. So now hug the right knee into your chest and straighten the left leg. And then inhale, straighten the elbows so your knee moves away from you. And then on the exhale, pull that knee out toward the right more. And then inhale, knee moves away from you. And exhale, hug it into, to that center position. Inhale, make space. And exhale, hug out to the right. Inhale, make space. And exhale, hug in center. Right? And then lower that right leg all the way down and hug the left knee in. And then same thing, twice each. We're going to straighten the elbows, inhale. And then exhale, you're hugging the knee out toward the left. Inhale, make space. Exhale, hug it in naturally. Inhale, make space. And exhale, hug to the left. And then inhale and release that leg down. And then rotate the left leg. And then rotate the right. Okay. And come back. Knees bent. Now, one hand on each knee, very slowly, 3 times in each direction, roll your knees in a circle. Great. Great massage for the sacrum, for the SI joints, really. Switch directions if you haven't already. Okay. All right. And feet down. All right. We're coming into banana pose, a favorite. So let's straighten the legs. Walk the legs over to the right. But keep your heels on your sticky mat. And then use your upper body to use your arms to walk your upper body over to the right. Okay. And then hook left ankle over right and bring your arms overhead. And now I had asked you to have a blanket up at the top of the mat. If you're really tight in the shoulders, you could have this blanket for your hands to rest on. It just gives them a little bit of space. And turn the head, or not turn the head, but make that side bend like as if you're bringing your right ear to the right shoulder. And then relax the torso and the arms. Relax the legs as best you can. So that the only effort or energy you're feeling is through this tight left side, especially the low left side. The part of your back or side that wraps around to your low back. See if you can't relax a little bit more through any musculature on the face, the lips, the eyes. Maybe there's muscles along your abdomen, the ribs, the mid back that you can soften a bit more. We're going to stay for 2 more breaths. And then uncross the ankles. Walk the legs, then the upper body until it feels like you're in a straight line. Open up the arms to your cactus. One at a time, bend your knees. And we're going to pause here. Let's take a couple more breaths here. And then before we do the second side, lower your arms to your sides. Bring one hand on each knee. We did this just a second ago or just a minute ago. And then roll your knees in a circle. Get that SI massage. And switch directions. Side bending slightly irritates the low back, which seems so counterproductive to what we're trying to do. Just making sure that we rest and do this kind of movement in between will ensure that it stays short term. Okay. All right, so feet to the mat, straighten the legs once again, and then walk the legs to the left, but keep your heels on that mat, and then inchworm the upper body over to the left as well. Hook your right ankle on top of your left, and bring your arms in whatever position is going to work for you. And then your mind and your body are already in this very quiet space. The second side, so that is why the second side is always a bit easier. So we can more quickly drop in, relaxing the legs all the way up the torso through the fingertips. Let's stay here for 3 more breaths. And then unhook the ankles. Walk your upper body back over. And then just come into a straight line, arms alongside of you, or hands on the belly. One at a time, bend your knees, feet down. And then let's do this circle again. So one hand on each knee, feet off the floor, and roll the knees in a circle. And switch directions. Okay, last thing on the back here. I want to offer you an option. You can either do happy baby or happy butterfly. So bringing the bottoms of the feet together and holding on. We had the heels kind of come apart, but your hands are clasped over the toes. Or if that's, of course, very challenging, do happy baby. Take one more breath. Okay, and then release the feet to the floor. Roll to your side and come on up to all fours. Okay. All right, so I want you to stay tucked onto your toes here because we're going to move back toward child's pose, but ultimately I'm wanting a stretch to the bottoms of the feet. So on your inhale, I want you to come into a very tiny back bend, like 30% of what you could do. Because when we kind of crank into a back bend, it tightens the back. And today's goal is to soften the tension. So like 30% inhale, little back bend. And then exhale, come to neutral, and then a little rounding as you move your hips back and you're on those toes. So as your hips go back, the pressure is on the bottoms of the feet and those toes. And inhale, come up. Little back bend. And then exhale, little rounding, and come on back. Two more. Okay. All right. Now, very slowly point each foot. And then just roll each foot left and right. Okay. So a little balancing table here. So kind of narrow up your stance so you're a little more stacked. So what I want to do differently is I want to keep the knee bent. So I'm kind of pushing my foot up toward the ceiling as I reach the opposite arm out. And then lower. And then switch. Squeeze everything into the middle so you're as stable as possible. Try not to dip the hips or stick the butt out. We want to keep the pelvis fixed. We want to keep your abdominals, your back muscles squeezing in toward each other. We're going to do several more on each side. Good. Every time you lift the back, lift the leg up, give it a little squeeze as best you can. Engage those glute muscles. One more each side. If you can remember, ending with, the side you did second. Okay. Then from here, move the hands forward a little. Let's come up for a little down dog. Push the floor away. Okay. And walk your feet to your hands. One final pose here. I want to do lunge, but with a little twist. So the focus is more on the twist than on the lunge. So you can make this stance as big or as little as you like, in terms of the length of the stride, but make it wide. So walk the right foot over to the right, so that when you twist to the right, you feel relatively steady. Okay, let's have hands at the heart. Big breath in, and then on your exhale, twist to the right. Maybe lean forward a little bit. Take the back bend out of it. Inhale, center, and exhale, twist. A few more. And stay in the twist. And come back to center. Step the back leg forward and pause. And step the right leg back. Walk the left leg over to the left. Hands at the heart. And then lean forward a little bit. Inhale. And exhale and twist. Now this time you're twisting left. Good. And then at your pace, you inhale, spine comes to center. And exhale, spine twists left. All right. And then stay in the twist. Couple of breaths. And spin back around and step forward. Okay. I want to, what time is it? Let's see, grab your blanket. Now, depending on your setup, maybe your chair can be in front of you so it can become a support. We're going to do seated butterfly. So I've got the bottoms of my feet together. Let's see if I can gauge this. I might need to move my mat. So, the chair can become a rest for your forehead, for the arms, whatever you can manage. But the blanket is for underneath the pelvis. But because today is a back class, I absolutely want your forehead supported. So when we support the forehead, we give all of those spinal muscles something to rest on. So there's no effort, there's no engagement on their part. So those can start to soften and release, and then you can likely feel a much more um, strong sensation and stretch through the hips. We're going to stay here for 3 more breaths. And very slowly press your torso up. Bring your hands behind you to support yourself as you roll your hips back a lot, and then straighten out the legs. And just pause. And then gently rotate legs left and right. Okay. So we're going to elevate the legs for Shavasana. If you'd like to invert, so if there's no menstruation happening, um, and of course, and if you'd like to invert, I'm just going to use this blanket. So the one I was just sitting on. So it's small fold. So we're not doing a huge inversion. And I want to ensure that when you have the blanket underneath you, it's like underneath your upper sacrum and like lower low back. So it's kind of like your butt's falling forward or off of the blanket. So there's this nice little dip um, in the back. Do your best to get the backs of your knees supported against whatever your prop is. I guess we didn't do as much flip-flopping as I was anticipating. Okay. So again, butt's kind of fallen off. So you're in a little tiny back bend, but you're supported with the blanket. And you know you're in the right spot when um, it feels like your shoulders are falling back, your chest is opening. If the blanket is like right underneath your buttocks, your whole spine kind of falls flat and heavy on the floor. So this should feel light, but pay attention to those sensations. And then if you want that eye pillow, cover up with that. And then rest the hands where they're the most supportive. Feel the lightness of your torso. Feel the lightness in your legs. But underneath that lightness, feel the heaviness of wanting to fall into rest. Let that take over and rest in Shavasana. Please bring awareness back to your breath. Circle the wrists, bend the elbows, and reach the arms overhead for a stretch. And then if you chose to invert, lift your hips just enough that you can slide that blanket out from underneath you and settle your hips back down on the floor. And then we're going to roll to the side. Take your time. And press yourself up.
Sit up nice and tall. And then gentle circles of your torso over your legs. And then switch directions. And just kind of move the spine. Notice how it's different. And place your left hand over your heart with a slight bow to your head. Thankful for this time to move, to breathe, to bring some comfort, no matter how small, into your body. And thank you so much for your practice. Namaste.